Hey guys, what's up? In this lesson, we'll have a brainstorm session to get as many ideas as possible to draw our Venetian Carnival costumes. So the first thing we're going to do is to draw two models, female and male, that we are going to use as a sort of mannequins when drawing our costumes. So, in order to draw the mannequin, it's important to use cages or blocks to create the main elements. Don't forget to add action lines to outline the movement and create a pose so that the costume can be clearly appreciated. For example, if it has wide sleeves, it doesn't need to be a dynamic pose. Remember, we're just brainstorming and developing some sketches of the costume design. It's not the final one, okay? And now let's follow the same steps for the woman. If you have doubts about how to draw the pose, you can use some references of pictures and poses you like. Although I recommend you to choose easy poses. You'll find lots of poses on the internet of either naked or dressed models. Particularly, I recommend that you have a look at a site called Quick Pose, where you can practice different poses and where you find a lot of references of human anatomy. Guys, remember we are not designing the final illustration. These are just sketches we're making of the costumes, so make sure you have close at hand the references you got from the internet or from another site like Pinterest, so that you can use them when drawing the characters. Before starting sketching the characters, let me explain to you a little bit about the main characters of Venetian Carnival. One of them is the Harlequin, a character who pretends to be rich and wears an outfit of patches and rags from aristocrat outfits. The Pantalone is the Harlequin's opposite, and he's a miserly and avid character. He's a merchant. Polichinella is a philosopher, and he's a witty and crafty character, but also full of common sense. The Dottor Balanzone pretends to know everything through science. His main characteristics are arrogance and ignorance. The writer is an ironic character, but also well-groomed, rich, and well-dressed. Then we have the Matachino, who is an enjoyable character, who's always having fun. Pierrot is Pantalone's servant and is always rejected by Colombina. Colombina is this one. She's the Harlequin's lover and is always rejecting the Pierrot. Well, now that you know a little bit more about the characters and how they are depicted, we're going to start sketching our costumes. First, copy the characters several times to sketch various versions. When referring to brainstorming, what we do is making several quick sketches. Guys, you don't need to be careful. After, we'll decide which one we like the most. This can be applied to anything, in this case to costume design, but it could be any other design. Use a new layer for each costume's sketch. I recommend that you have close at hand the references you got. If you are working with two screens, use one of them to display the references while working. Another option is to open up the images in Photoshop. You can also use your phone, or if you are good at retaining images, you can make the sketches by heart. It's entirely up to you, But the more references you use, the more creative you'll be. Guys, there's an important stuff we need to bear in mind when designing our costumes, both male and female versions. For example, the hats they wear are quite elaborate and flamboyant. Venetian costumes are quite elaborate when it comes to decorations, fabrics, jewels, and so on. Therefore, I recommend that you combine all these elements to generate new ideas. There's no need to create symmetric shapes. In fact, Venetian costumes aren't symmetric at all. Some of them might be, but not as a general rule. These designs you see on the screen are based on real references and made up of strange shapes. Another important element of Venetian costumes is obviously masks. We've seen that in general masks hide the face completely and are quite inexpressive. Some of them are half mask, only covering the wearer's eyes and nose. Other masks are longer or are attached to a stick and so on. However, these are the regular masks that I'm going to use for my character. Another feature of Venetian Carnival is that costumes are quite bulky. So bear this in mind when drawing Venetian costumes, since these are made of sheer and bulky fabrics. For the sleeves, the legs, shoulder pads, etc. All these parts are quite bulky and big, with folds and volumes, hiding the real body's anatomy. So, it's an essential feature since it lets us play around with volumes and fabrics. Also, it lets us know how costumes adapt to the character's anatomy. Women's costumes are characterized by long and voluminous skirts. Even some of them have different layers. Even so, some female costumes are similar to men's because some of them wear baggy trousers resembling to the harlequins. Regarding men's costumes, some of them are based on the harlequin garment, while others wear elegant and ancient costumes. These garments are worn both by women and men and are of an antique style. However, there are also fantasy-like costumes representing the moon or the sun and so on. They are quite beautiful, actually. You can also add extra elements such as canes or fonts to improve your drawing and enrich it. Once you've finished the brainstorming session and the sketches, we're going to select those we like the most. So remove those you don't like to keep your favorites on the canvas. To do so, just hide the corresponding layers by clicking on the eye icon. Okay? If you are drawing manually, check those you like and cross out those you don't. So, select 4 of your favorite sketches and set them up so that we can use them later as a reference for our costumes. Great! So, after brainstorming and selecting 4 of our favorite sketches, save them. And in the next lesson, we'll be adding detail to the sketches to improve them. So, guys, I really hope you liked this lesson and see you in the next one.